Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into the formidable history of Alcatraz, that legendary prison perched on a small island right in the heart of San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, and we've got quite a collection of information here detailing, everything from its initial conception, the really harsh realities inside, to the many, many attempts to break free from this, well, infamous place.
Right.
Our mission, really, as we explore this, is to understand why Alcatraz got such a terrifying reputation, why it became synonymous with inescapable confinement, and also to unravel that enduring enigma around its most famous escape. Did they actually make it, or did the Bay claim them?
Okay, so let's unpack that. How did Alcatraz, right from the get-go, build this aura of fear?
Mm.
What made it so uniquely intimidating?
Well, what's fascinating is how the very design and location were meant to instill dread. I mean, this barren island fortress, it wasn't about rehabilitation at all. It was pure containment, simple as that, for the absolute worst criminals.
The incorrigibles.
Exactly. The underlying assumption was basically these men were beyond redemption.
And that reputation for being escape-proof, the idea that it was the ultimate lockup, that was absolutely key to its mystique, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. The prevailing belief, the one they really pushed, was that no one could ever successfully flee. It was a powerful psychological weapon, not just for the inmates, but for the whole prison system.
Sort of a warning.
Yeah, the message was clear. If you acted up anywhere else, this was where you'd end up. No hope of getting out.
But, well, that didn't stop people trying, did it? That first documented attempt back in '36 with Joseph Bowers, it really sets a grim tone.
It does, and what's striking about that first attempt is the sheer desperation. Bowers wasn't even trying for the mainland. He just wanted out of the immediate cell block area.
Right.
He scaled a fence, which was quite something, but his end was, well, tragic. Fell from the cliffs, died. It immediately reinforced the idea that trying to escape meant certain death.
So let's really dig into why it was considered so impenetrable. I mean, you look at a map, it doesn't seem that far, just over a mile, maybe a mile and a half. Almost seems swimmable, right?
Oh. That's the deadly illusion, see. You have to consider all the natural barriers working together. First, the water temperature. It rarely gets above the low 50s Fahrenheit.
Freezing.
Absolutely. Hypothermia sets in incredibly fast. We're talking water colder than most refrigerators.
And it's not like it's calm water either.
Yeah.
Those San Francisco Bay currents, they're legendary, aren't they? Always pulling outwards.
Precisely. Strong currents
Something
pulling
like-
straight out towards the Pacific, and then there's the fog.
The fog. Yeah.
Frequent, incredibly dense fog, pea soup fog. Even if you somehow survive the cold and the currents navigating in that, finding a specific point on the mainland, next to impossible.
Then you have the island itself. It's tiny, right? Barely 500 yards long.
Just over, yeah.
Right.
Maybe 200 wide.
Yeah.
And the cell house is right at the highest point, totally exposed, surrounded by fences, barbed wire, guard towers.
Hit to kill orders.
With shoot-to-kill orders. And don't forget the cliffs. Steep, 20 to 50-foot drops straight down onto rocks or into that freezing water. Very few places to even start an escape from.
And the guards. So many guards. I read it could be almost 1-to-1 sometimes.
Close to it. Definitely no more than 3 inmates per guard, which meant constant surveillance. Very few moments an inmate wasn't being watched. So, like you said, nature itself, plus the human vigilance, plus the fortress design, the island was the warden.
So it wasn't just your average federal prisoner ending up there then.
Yeah.
Who were the ones deemed bad enough for the rock?
Right, this is important. Alcatraz wasn't for, run-of-the-mill criminals. It was the end of the line. The most disruptive, the most dangerous inmates from other federal
And
prisons.
troublemakers.
The incorrigibles, psychopaths, riot leaders, and, significantly, the escape artists. Guys with a history of breaking out elsewhere. The worst of the worst, basically.
And the conditions inside. They sound just brutal. It wasn't just being locked up. It was meant to be psychologically crushing, wasn't it?
Oh, the descriptions are grim. Constant beatings, harsh discipline were apparently the norm. Sleeping on cold, bare floors. The cells were small, damp, windowless boxes, steel bars, no privacy at all. The psychological toll must have been immense.
You hear these awful stories. Guys losing their minds, self-mutilation just to get out of work detail, suicides. It speaks volumes about the despair.
And then there was the hole, solitary confinement, that really embodied the intent to break someone.
How bad was it?
Imagine being stripped naked, put in a dark, completely bare cell, total silence, total darkness, for days, weeks sometimes. It was designed as the ultimate deterrent. The threat of it was enough to keep many in line.
Chilling. But it's almost unbelievable that amidst all that, some inmates actually wanted to go there. for the food.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Despite the brutality in almost every other way, Alcatraz ironically had a reputation for the best food in the federal prison system.
Seriously.
Apparently, some inmates, tired of bad food elsewhere, saw it as a perverse kind of upgrade in that one specific area. Strange, right?
Talk about finding a silver lining. And of course, Alcatraz housed some truly notorious figures. Al Capone, for instance. Everyone knows that name.
Capone's time there is interesting. He was in a standard cell, same basic conditions as everyone else. But he did manage to get slightly better furniture, a bed, chairs, maybe a desk,
Perks of being Capone.
maybe. And he famously played the banjo in the prison band, the Rock Islanders. It's a
Yeah.
strange image, isn't it? This notorious gangster playing banjo tunes.
Definitely. And you had other big names, too, like Mickey Cohen, King of LA's Underworld, and Machine Gun Kelly.
Right. Individuals who'd commanded huge power on the outside, now stripped bare in this harsh place. At its peak, Alcatraz held around 300 inmates. Lots of tension, frequent fights, even murders, all under those watchful guards.
And despite the security, despite Bauer's fate, the escape attempts just kept coming. It really shows the desperation, doesn't it? That 1937 attempt by Colin Rowe sounds like something out of a movie.
It really does. The ingenuity mixed with just huge risk, sawing through bars in a workshop, using tires to cushion a jump off a cliff, a big drop, then relying on tin cans for flotation in that freezing fog.
Tin cans.
Wow.
A real long shot. And they just vanished, presumed drowned. And that, of course, led to tighter security in the workshops.
Exactly. Every attempt, failed or not, led to security reviews, enhancements, made it even harder next time. The 1938 attempt, where inmates killed a guard for his weapon, shows the violence simmering beneath the surface. But they were quickly overwhelmed. Futile, really.
Then 1939, Doc Barker, sawing through older, softer bars. A leftover from the military prison days.
Yeah, a vulnerability they exploited. They even tried building a raft on the shore in broad daylight. Incredibly audacious.
But they got spotted.
Got spotted scavenging materials. Guard tower opened fire. Barker died. And that led directly to installing the hardened steel bars that became synonymous with Alcatraz.
It's like this constant cat and mouse game, life and death stakes.
Yeah.
Guys hiding in trash, jumping in the water only to swim back freezing.
Oh.
Others overpowering guards but getting shot when the whistle blew.
Each failure just added to the legend, you know?
Yeah.
Alcatraz is escape-proof. Even that World War II story inmate steals an army uniform they were making in the workshop.
Tries to walk onto a ferry.
Yeah. The sheer nerve. But caught because he didn't have the right ID. Just shows that constant yearning for freedom, no matter how impossible it seemed.
All these attempts, all this desperation, it kind of builds up to the two biggest events, doesn't it? The Battle of Alcatraz and then the big one, the 1962 escape.
Yes, those two really stand out. The battle in 46 was just this incredibly violent explosion of resistance. And the 62 escape, well, that's the enduring mystery, isn't it?
Let's tackle the battle first. Bernard Coy. He seemed to be the key, right? Watching the guards, looking for a weak spot.
What's fascinating about Coy is his obsession with detail. He spotted vulnerability in the gun gallery, the bars, believed he could squeeze through if he lost enough weight.
He starved himself.
Apparently, yeah. Shows incredible determination in a way. When the guard was distracted, he made his move, overpowered him, got keys, weapons.
And suddenly inmates have guns inside Alcatraz? That completely changed everything, didn't it?
Instantly. It went from an escape attempt to a full-blown siege. Terrifying. Their plan to reach the boat dock failed, though. A jammed door in the recreation yard trapped them in the main cell house.
And then, unbelievably, a new shift of guards just walks right into it.
Yeah, walked right into the chaos, got taken hostage, shows a massive breakdown in communication and how fast things went bad. The 2-day battle that followed was unprecedented.
The warden called in the Marines.
U.S. Marines, combat vets from Okinawa, storming the cell block with grenades. It underscores how serious it was.
Grenades inside a prison. Surreal. What was the outcome?
The standoff ended, but at a high cost. 5 dead, 3 inmates, 2 guards, 14 wounded. The surviving ringleaders were executed or got more time. And security ratcheted up even further, if that was even possible.
A brutal chapter. And then just over a decade later, 1962, Frank Morris, the Anglin brothers, John and Clarence and Alan West. Interestingly, none into murder, but all had tried escaping before.
Right, that's the common thread. And Morris is definitely seen as the mastermind.
He saw a weakness.
He recognized that the concrete in B block was older, potentially crumbling, and backed onto an unused utility corridor. His planning, the group's resourcefulness, It was truly remarkable.
The tools.
Hmm.
A drill from a spoon and a dime, powered by a vacuum cleaner motor. You couldn't make this stuff up.
Incredible improvisation, and they spent a whole year chipping away at the vents around their cells, only during music hour to cover the noise.
Music hour. Clever.
The patience involved is astounding, and the fake wall sections to hide the work. Painted cardboard and plaster. Very ingenious.
And the raft. Over 50 raincoats? How did they even get those?
Bartered for, apparently. Painstakingly stitched and glued together into an inflatable raft. The sheer effort is hard to wrap your head around.
And the dummy heads. That's the detail everyone remembers. Soap, toilet paper, concrete dust, real hair from the barbershop.
Yeah, made to look realistic in the dim light, shows their attention to detail, understanding the guards' routines. On the night itself, June 11th, 1962, everything had to go right.
Dummy heads in the beds.
Morris and the Anglins squeezed through the vents into the corridor. Alan West, crucially, couldn't get his vent cover off in time. He got left behind.
So most of what we know about the plan comes from him.
A lot of it, yeah. The others climbed 30 feet up pipes to the roof, crossed it, shimmied down an exterior pipe near the water.
In the dark, freezing cold. Terrifying.
Reached the shore, inflated their raft, this concertina-like thing, and pushed off into the bay. And then, gone. Vanished into the fog.
The official story, they drowned. Cold water, currents, homemade raft. Didn't stand a chance.
Right.
The FBI closed the case.
Right. They pointed to pieces of the raft and paddles found on Angel Island nearby. And a waterproof wallet with the Anglin's photos and addresses inside seemed pretty conclusive.
The doubts persist, don't they? Those little clues keep popping up.
They do. That declassified FBI report mentioning a possible full raft found on Angel Island with footprints leading away, that definitely fuels speculation.
And the stolen car report. A couple of days later, near the bay, 3 unidentified men. It keeps the possibility alive, doesn't it?
Exactly. Then you have the more folkloric elements. The Anglin's mother supposedly getting anonymous flowers, postcards from South America for years.
And the funeral sighting, 1973. 2 tall women in veils.
Suspected to be the brothers, yeah. It's anecdotal, impossible to prove, but it adds to the myth.
And that 2013 letter, claiming to be John Anglin, old, sick, wanting to come back for treatment.
Handwriting was inconclusive. The FBI dismissed it, but it grabbed headlines, didn't it? Captured the imagination again.
And most recently, 2020, that facial recognition software claim, matching a 75 photo from Brazil to the Anglins.
Yeah, the Irish tech firm claimed a high probability. Again, not definitive proof, but it keeps reopening the question, keeps that possibility alive in popular culture.
So the central mystery remains. Did they drown in the bay's icy grip? Or did they pull off the impossible, make it to South America, live out their lives? It's a question that just lingers.
It really does. And it's worth remembering, Alcatraz itself closed just a year later, in '63. Too expensive, falling apart.
And now, ironically, you have the annual escape from Alcatraz triathlon. People swim that distance now.
Right. Which proves it's physically possible for trained athletes in good conditions. But compare that to 3 inmates, probably weakened, in the dead of night, cold fog on a homemade raft.
It's a world of difference, isn't it?
Completely. It brings us right back to that question. Could they have done it? Could that sheer hope and desperation overcome those impossible odds?
And maybe the fact that this mystery endures says something about us, about our fascination with the impossible, with people who dare to defy the ultimate confinement.
Perhaps. It's definitely a story that continues to captivate.
Well, thank you for joining this deep dive into the fascinating history and lingering enigma of the rock.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, maybe consider the power of that hope, that desperation against such odds, and what the persistence of this mystery says about our own fascination with achieving the seemingly impossible.